Welcome to the Boneyard with Steve Robertson. As always, I am your good friend and host, Steve Robertson. Man, it feels so good to win, right? I mean, let's just kind of take that in for a second. Let's all take a deep breath. Let it out. Let it out. It's a glorious Monday morning here in Starkville, Mississippi. Man, so many things to feel good about today. We're going to talk about all of them. We're going to talk about how good looking we are, about how we're going to eat a dessert today. We're going to pet our dogs, get out, maybe drive fast today, over the speed limit. Not that we encourage law breaking, but sometimes you just got to get out on the road and lay the hammer down. Sometimes. No, man, it feels so good to win. And, of course, Mississippi State makes them in NCAA basketball tournament. The ladies headed to the WBIT. You know, last week there was all this talk, hey, we're going to turn down the NIT. Was told yesterday that the WBIT, all the expenses are paid, so it kind of makes a little better sense to do that. So we're going to participate in that. So we've got a little more women's basketball to play. And, of course, Mississippi State, on the baseball diamond, takes 2 out of 3 from LSU. How great that is. I started to get the banjo out and play today and sing to you guys. No, I don't have a banjo. I don't. But I don't know. I could have taken a tutorial or something and grabbed a fiddle and play a few bars of Callin' Baton Rouge out here. How about that? It feels so good to beat LSU in baseball because of the fact that more times than not, that's been the measuring stick for us for this generation. There used to be a time that we beat LSU on the regular, right? Then we had those great rivalry games from the 80s and 90s, and Paul Maneri kind of owned us for a stretch there. Let's just kind of call it for what it is, especially at Starkville. But Chris Amonis has now won 3 of the last 4 against LSU. Yeah, it's true. And you may not know it, Mississippi State actually has, about a 30-game lead in the all-time series record, maybe. Well, we've added to that lead this weekend. We have. On Saturday, we broke down the Friday game. Today, we'll look at Saturday, Sunday. We'll look ahead to March Madness. Making arrangements today for Justin Farmer to fly out to Charlotte and cover the Bulldogs as long as we're there. And I hope that we're able to send him next weekend to go somewhere. I think this team is capable of getting out of the first round. I think this team is capable of getting out of the second round and the first weekend of this tournament. I think his team's certainly capable of doing that. And, of course, you know, we broke it down on Saturday. You know, it was an absolute war with Auburn. And I think Auburn kind of got hosed a little bit in the seeding. But all that said, that's not my mantle to carry in life. I'm focused on the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And so here we are, again. The women's season, a little bit of a disappointment. The men on schedule. And maybe a game or two behind what we hope to be. I mean, to be fair about it, right? Probably a couple of games we wish we had back. But we're in the dance. And anything can happen in March. I hate being in an 8-9 game because that means you got to play a number 1 in round 2. But this team's certainly capable of, I think, winning that game. It'll be interesting. It will be. Fun week ahead of us, for sure. And the Twitters, a lot of fun these days, too. Yeah, for sure. Let's thank our friends at Bulldog Burger Company. They're all about fun, too. I hope you are. Next time you're in town, go by and see them. 3 great locations to serve you. University Drive here in Star Vegas, Gloucester Street there in Tupelo, Lake Harbor Drive in the Ridge and Flowwood area. I might just have Bulldog Burger Company for dinner. We'll see how that shakes loose. You know how the days go. I love that place, man. I do. I loved them before they were a sponsor of the show. I'm so proud to partner with them. I have so many people that kind of equate me with Bulldog Burger Company. And I think to myself, as of all the companies that I'm affiliated with, this is one of the ones that makes me the most proud. Because they do such a great job. So many social media posts where people tag me and then like, hey, Steve, I had the spring rolls. I've even seen some before and after pictures. It's kind of funny. It's true. Somebody sent me a picture of their regular face, and then after spring rolls, that they had photoshopped Ryan Gosling's face on theirs. You know, yeah, I'm just telling you, they'll make you better looking. Have the spring rolls as your appetizer. Man, have that great restaurant quality hamburger. So many great ones to choose from. I'm still kind of partial to that Mississippi barbecue burger. I'm kind of hankering for that. You never know what the rest of the day looks like. But I'm probably going to get that chocolate shake to go to. Probably the Nutella shake. You know, sometimes you just kind of get your mind wrapped around a craving and you can't shake it until you satisfy it. That's what Bulldog Burger Company can do for you. Go by and let them serve you. Put your feet under their table. They'll take care of everything else, man. Just let them wait on you and serve you some incredible cuisine. Bulldog Burger Company, a place where people go to meet. M-E-A-T. All right. Last week, I said, you know what? Without Nate Dawn, we're going to be lucky to get one. We wanted to just get one and avoid being swept. That's the thing, too. It sounds so silly, but it's true because we've lived it and we've seen it. When you get swept opening weekend in the SEC, this league is so incredibly unmerciful. And we're going to talk a little more about mercy later in the show. But nobody forgives you. Nobody feels sorry for you. You got down 0-3. You're chasing the season, the entire season. You got to get a sweep against somebody just to pull even. And typically what happens is, just to even feel like it's you're okay, it takes you 2 weekends unless you sweep somebody the next week, and even then, you're 500. Now, typically 500 SEC teams make the tournament. But when you drop those first 3, man, the fans begin to kind of turn on you a little bit. And we've had a bunch of that. And the tide is turning. This weekend, a lot of the fence sitters kind of said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get behind this team. Whatever happens is going to happen. Probably the attitude we should have had from the outset. But here we are, right? The Diamond Dogs have won most of you back over. And, of course, there's always that caveat, well, I'm still not sure about Lamonis. He recruited him. He coached him. Let's just all put all that behind us. Let's stop with all the disclaimers, and let's get behind Mississippi State baseball, okay? Because the Bulldogs won a big series. And it's so incredibly important to get out of the gate strong because of the fact we have such a bear of an SEC schedule, especially the first 3 weekends. I was telling myself, if we get out of these first 3 weekends 3-6, that might be a best-case scenario. It's not what we want, but you've got to avoid the sweep. And State certainly avoided it Saturday and Sunday. And so I want to break those games down, and then we're going to kind of look at how the weekend went around the Southeastern Conference. But your Bulldogs, and they are your Bulldogs, my Bulldogs, our Bulldogs, ranked number 16 now in the Baseball America poll and 21 in the D1 baseball poll. In postgame yesterday, my friend Aaron Fitt, who I think so much of, Aaron Fitt gets out and travels and goes and sees teams in person. There are a lot of people that hunker down in their bunkers or they lay back in their recliners and they want you to disbelieve that they're an expert. And let me opine on this just a little bit too. The thing that I love about D1 baseball, no matter what you think about Kendall Rogers, Kendall's my friend, okay? But what I like and love about D1 baseball, one of the reasons that I'm a subscriber to D1 baseball, is there is authenticity in what they do and say. Even if you don't agree, you have to respect the fact they are on the road. They're out there seeing teams in person, in the fall, in season. Aaron Fitt took in the Ole Miss South Carolina game and then came to Mississippi State to watch State and LSU play. And so I respect people that actually do the job rather than just kind of go through the motions and hope that you don't notice. And there's a lot of that in our industry, a ton in our industry. It's like I just want to sit back at the recliner. I'm going to watch the game on TV, and I'm going to write you a column. Well, you just watch it on TV yourself. That person can't go to a post game. They can't ask a coach or a player a question. There is no Zoom call for post games anymore, thank goodness. All that did was just make it easier for people to be lazy. And so I'm a proponent of rewarding and recognizing people for actually doing the job. That seems like a novel concept, but there are a lot of people out there, they subscribe to websites out there when they're basically just sitting home. And that's what D1 baseball is so amazing. It's because when I travel, I run into these guys all the time. There are times that we're at home, they come to Starkville. They come to Duty Noble Field. And so I respect it, and you should too. When people are out there working hard, putting their best foot forward, and in many cases spending their own money to go cover a game or a team, it's a much different deal to me than the guy that sits in the bunker and just writes little shorts. And listen, how do you see it in college football all the time? Well, I'm just going to sit home and I'll watch 3 games and I'll write up a little gamer and we'll get a bunch of clicks. My honest opinion is I think you should stop clicking on that crap. Because the only reason they do it is because the unsuspecting public thinks, oh, well, they must know something. They don't know anything. They're just writing an AP-style gamer and pushing it out there and making it feel like, hey, well, this guy knows what's going on. And he's just sat at home just like you did. But that's my soapbox for today. That's why I'm a D1 baseball guy. Nothing against Teddy Baseball and those guys. I like Teddy Cahill. Those guys are my friends at Baseball America. But I don't see those guys out as much. But I do see D1 baseball. So Fitty walks into postgame yesterday, and I say, hey, Fitty, where's Mississippi State going to be ranked tomorrow in D1 baseball's top 25 poll? He goes, I don't know, man. We'll have to talk about it. And I said, well, let me just tell you this. If LSU is the number 2 team in America, then Mississippi State's number 1. Now, of course, I don't believe that. But I want to make sure we get our just due. Right as I say this, Lamonis walks in. He goes, let's not get carried away, Steve. No, I'm not going to get carried away. Mississippi State is not worthy of the number 1 ranking. Neither is LSU worthy of the number 2 ranking. But we're going to talk extensively about those 2 games. Very proud of our team, our staff, our fan base, and another big crowd, of course, on Saturday. And more big crowds to come, especially if the Bulldogs can take care of business here these next couple weekends. All right, so let's talk about Saturday's game first, which is the game that we lost. And the loud voices that hate watch Mississippi State were out early in this ball game and kind of silenced late, right? So let's kind of work through it here real quick. And I'll be honest with you, as I told you guys on Saturday, Friday was the game I expected to lose. I thought we had a good chance on Saturday. I certainly expected us to win on Sunday. I really thought Saturday would be the determining game in the series because I thought we would lose on Friday without Nate Dome. But we were able to win, thanks in large part to a great relief appearance from Nolan Stevens. So you come into Saturday thinking we got a chance to take this series. And man, LSU jumped all over Cal Steven. And Cal, it was very reminiscent of the Georgia Southern game. He could not spot up the breaking ball. When you cannot consistently throw a breaking ball for strikes, you can't keep people off the fastball. And Cal doesn't have maybe the dynamics that Nate does with the fastball. He needs the complementary pitch to kind of keep people guessing. And again, we couldn't spot it up. And LSU went right to work on us. Tommy White, great weekend for him all the way around. But solo shot to left field on the first pitch of his at-bat makes it 1-0 LSU. You knew that LSU was going to come out with their heads on fire on Saturday. It's a proud program. That's what makes them great, right? We walk Neal, and then Jones homers down the left field line. It's 3-0 LSU. We get the next 3 guys, and we get out of it, but we're already chasing the game. Bottom of first, State gets a 2-out walk to Dakota Jordan, but we can't do anything with that. Top of second, they're just all over the guy, man. And they get a single to right field with 1 out, and then Mac Bingham homers to left field, makes it 5-0. We get the final 2 outs. But after 2 frames, man, it's 5-0 LSU. Now, State's able to kind of get on the board here in the second. We'll get a lead-out walk to Hyzak, and then Downs singles back up the middle. That's a guy that's been really, really good as of late. Calder flies out to center. Downs goes to second, and Hyzak scores on a wild pitch. And then Chance flies out. Powell strikes out swinging. But State's in the ball game now at 5-1. We bring Gavin Black in favor of Cal Steven right here, which is like, hey, let's get the kids' SEC feet wet. Let's see what happens. Because you got to manage the whole weekend. But there's some separation in the game. Black comes in, doesn't do so exceptionally well. We walk the first guy, then it's a home run. Hayden Travinski homers to make it 7-1. At this point, I think we all thought, including your good friend and host, hey, this game is over. We're going to have to hope for our best on Sunday. Pearson flies out the white. Brazel lines out the short. And then Milan is walked. And then Milazzo walks. And first and second now. And then Bingham walks. And so bases are loaded facing Tommy White. That is not a great situation for a first-year SEC pitcher. And Gavin Black just moving up from junior college. You got one of the most dangerous hitters in all of college baseball with the bases loaded, and you have walked 3 in a row. You have walked the bases loaded with 2 outs. 2-out walks are of the devil. 3 of them is like the number of the beast, man. And what does Tommy White do? He takes the ball to right field and 2-run score. It's 9-1. We bring in Carson Ligon, he gets us out of it. But it's 9-1, top of 3. You start thinking there's a lot of ball game left. But, man, this game may be a short one. We may get beat 13, 14-1 here. Bottom of 3, nothing really going for State. And we get a leadoff walk there and can't push it around, even though we get Amani in the scoring position by virtue of a wild pitch. But Ligon all of a sudden kind of begins to find his footing a little bit. We get the hold here from Carson Ligon. You get a line out, a walk at Travinski, and then there is a fielder's choice. We cut the guy down. We walk Braswell, so 2 walks in the inning. And we make a play at home here, and LSU challenges. I thought it was a stupid challenge because it was obvious that he was out. And just so you guys know, LSU lost every challenge that they challenged. Because immediately when I said that on social media, somebody goes, well, they won the challenge at home. That was our challenge. Every play that LSU's head coach, Jay Johnson, challenged, they did not win. Kind of indicative of the weekend. All right, Milan singles to first, and this is that play with the other guy at home. 9-1. All right, 9-1, bottom of 4, and State starts kind of climbing back into this thing a little bit. We had some help from LSU, too. Hyzak is hit by the pitch. We have a force out here, and we challenged here, and it was not. I understand the challenge, but we lost it too. And I saw some of our fans saying, "Hey, we should have." He was safe. He was not safe. He wasn't. I mean, I would love to sit here and say he was, but he wasn't. They called him out. The call on the field was correct. It was confirmed by review. And then Kohler doubles to left center, which sends Aaron Downs to third, and then Bryce Chance homers. Beans with a shot there. It's a 3-run round tripper. It makes it 9-4. And you look up at the scoreboard and thinking, man, it's just bottom of 4. Maybe we got a chance to climb back into this thing. At the very least, we can avoid being 10-run ruled. That would be awful, wouldn't it? I mean, to be 10-run ruled, it'd be terrible. Terrible. Powell follows with a single to center. Larry's in hit by the pitch, and it feels like we got him on the ropes here a little bit. You got some big things happening here, but then Marshawn strikes out looking. Dave did not have a great weekend. And then it's crazy. They have the pickoff play that gets nuts. And so you got runners at second, third now. And DJ grounds out to third. Nice play there by Tommy White. There were so many of those on Saturday. Had an opportunity to make some big plays, but Tommy White ate us up a little bit defensively on Saturday. Sunday, a little different story. But 9-4, and again, a missed opportunity here for State in the fourth. Top of 5, again, Ligon doing well here. We give a leadoff walk to Milazzo, but get 2 punchies and a fly out to get out of it. And bottom of 5, State's continuing just to kind of chip away here. Hines reaches on a throwing error. Hyzak flies out to center, and Downs is walked. They take Helmers out, bring in Herring, and then Kohler doubles to center field. Center fielder lays out for it, just can't get there. Kind of a silly decision. Run scores. And then Bryce Chance does a job here. The RBI sac fly makes it a 9-6 ball game. Then they walk Powell, they walk Larry. Marshawn's up. Yeah, base is loaded here. You got a chance again. Yeah, ball in the gap here. You might tie the game. We didn't put it in play. We leave him loaded. It's tough, man. In the meantime, Carson Ligon continuing to roll here. Continuing to roll. We give up a single through the left side. He gets a strikeout, and then it's a double play. A hard liner right to Hunter Hines, and he grabs it and steps on the bag there to get us out of the inning. So you face a minimum there in the 6th. And all of a sudden, you're starting to string together some zeros. Bottom of 6, they got nothing going here. 1, 2, 3 inning for State. Top of 7, we bring in Tyson Harden in place of Carson Ligon, who was really good. Braswell singles to center field. Then Malam strikes out swinging. Milazzo fouls out. Bingham is walked. And then we intentionally walk Tommy White, and people are like, hey, we shouldn't do that. It's absolutely the right call. You face a left-hander, and you're able to get him struck out looking. 9-6, bottom of 7. And again, State, a chance here. We're still in the ball game, and you can really feel like the momentum in this game is shifting. Bottom of 7, down strikes out looking. Kohler grounds out to second. So all the rest of this happens while 2 are out. Bryce Chance singles back up the middle. They pull Herring, bring in Yaloa. We pinch hit with Stevens, and then what do you know? He singles back up the middle. Chance goes around to third. Runners on the corners now with 2 outs. They pull him and bring in Anderson. And Imani Larry singles. It's 9-7. And pretty crazy, right? Pretty crazy. We single to center here, and Chance scores, and then we have the play at the plate. It feels like something's not quite right with this box score. But we're thrown out. Now, I have been in some bitter arguments about this play. Let me just go ahead and tell you this. What I believe happened and what the video shows are 2 different things. You kind of get a hint on the video of what I believe happened. The call on the field was going to stand, no matter what was called, because of the fact there just wasn't a clear view of what happened. The first thing that I want to say is the throw from the bullpen from the second baseman was near perfect. Absolutely near perfect. And as a third base coach, and I have been one before, that's the situation you're in. You want to think, I want to make them throw me out. They got to make a perfect play to get us. This was a chance right here for State to tie the game and blow the lid off Duty Noble Field. If we score here, not only are we going to win the game, it's going to be a scenario where the crowd just kind of takes over the game. Because you're LSU, you're up 9-1, you're thinking, oh, this thing's over. What? We're tied? What? How'd this happen? Now we got to fight him for 6 more outs? And a lot of people have said, but Steve, she should have held him and let Dakota Jordan hit. I don't know. I don't know if it's really the case. I knew something was wrong here. Yeah, Larry singles to center, and then they've got things out of order here. Mershon doubles down the line. Larry advances to third. Stevens scores, and then Larry's still not to play. I knew that was wrong. Now, what I believe happened, and what I was told by somebody that had a better vantage point than all of us, is the ball became dislodged at the contact at the plate. Nothing malicious about it. The catcher fields the ball on the first base side of home plate and then slides over as he's instructed to do. And next thing you know, there is a little bit of a collision. And again, no malicious intent there. The ball became dislodged. And I've had some people that are kind of anti-Mississippi State people that still wear Mississippi State stuff. They're kind of the self-loathing fans. Oh, no, Steve, it's not correct. Guys, I was a catcher. I don't know what you are. I don't know what you did. But there's no reason to take your offhand and dig underneath the runner when you have the ball safely in your mitt. You would pull your hand out and then cup the mitt. That's not what happened there. The ball's underneath him. He's digging in with both hands so he can get the ball back in the mitt. Now, I can't prove that. I can't prove it. But Lamonis comes charging out of the dugout and jumping up and down. He dropped the ball, he dropped the ball, he dropped the ball. So we got a little context clue there. And then we see the catcher using the offhand to dig around under Imani Larry. Why is that necessary? At the end of the day, there's not enough evidence to overturn it. I also talked to somebody else, and I won't say who, not affiliated with Mississippi State, that said there was some talk and belief that they may have blown the call. However, there was nothing to overturn it or confirm it. Now, it goes in here that the call was confirmed. And that's by the SEC office. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's confirmed or it stands or whatever. The run doesn't count. But I can tell you there's a lot of opinions about this play. There's just not enough to overturn it. if you don't see the ball rolling loose, or you don't see the ball out of the possession of the catcher, you can't overturn the call. Do I believe he was safe? Yes. Do I believe the right decision was made here by the review official? Yes. It's just one of those unfortunate situations where it just wasn't enough. And you know what? Hey, give the kid from LSU some credit. Give the catcher from LSU, because that's a huge point in the ball game. And he steals an out there that basically takes a run off the board for Mississippi State. Give that kid some credit. But that's the inning. But it's 9-8, and you start thinking, you know what, hey, we just got to be 2 runs better than him down the stretch. Jones grounds out to short. Travinsky singles to short, and there's a wild pitch there. Pearson strikes out swinging and gets there on a wild pitch, but we're able to get a double play. Braswell grounds under double play. I remember there were so many people that wanted us to sign him. We absolutely got the better end of that deal. All right, so it's 9-8, bottom of 8. And again, State needs to make some things happen. We get a leadoff walk to Dakota Jordan. So the tying runs on base with nobody out. You're not going to ask Hunter Hines to bunt. I don't know that he can. Nothing against him. I just don't think that's in his wheelhouse. And then he flies out to right. Hyzak then singles to left field. Runners on first and second. It felt like this is the moment. This is the moment. Aaron Downs hits an absolute worm burner. And Tommy Tanks grabs it, steps on the bag at third, and fires to first. And that's a double play. That's really the game. In that situation, if that ball gets in the corner, State has won this game. Tommy White makes a game-saving play here. I thought he was outstanding defensively on Saturday. On Sunday, not so much. But made some big plays on Sunday too. But Saturday, I really thought he was the difference in this ball game. We get to the ninth. State makes it interesting. Millen walks, and then we get the sack. They get the sack bunt down. We bring in Cam Schulke. And unbelievably athletic play here from Cam Schulke. I mean, he looked like something out of Saturday Night Fever. The bunt goes to his right, left side of the infield. He goes sliding down, and he pops up in one motion and throws an absolute strike to first base to get the out. Now they review, and it's held up. You know, it's confirmed that he's out. And again, LSU loses another challenge. But the point here is Cam Schulke is an absolute alien. Absolute alien. We intensely walk White, bring in Luke Dotson, and we get Brown to strike out looking. Really, really high leverage situation for Luke, and we're able to get it done, right? I mean, it's just the freshmen just keep showing up, and I think about these lefties, you know, which makes me wonder about tomorrow. With the short work week, it looks like lefties are the way to go against A&M. So what do we do tomorrow to kind of save some innings for our left-handers against A&M, right? They bring in Alkenhausen, who's been good for LSU. Kohler is out, rolls out to first, Chance flies out to right, and then Johnny Long grounds out to first unassisted. That's a ball game, 9-8. But I think we grew up a lot in this ball game. Over the course of this ball game, I thought Mississippi State showed some real grit. Even though we lost the game, it didn't feel like a loss. It goes in the win-loss column as a loss. But I think in many respects we may have won something, and that's some respect for ourselves. All right, let's get to game 2. We won't get inside the numbers here. We'll get into game 3, the decisive game, a game that was an abbreviated game. And I really felt like the pitching matchup favored Mississippi State. Durangelo has been good. He was good for 4 innings on Saturday, had a tough 5th. We'll get to that. He also developed a blister on his foot that kind of impeded his progress in the 5th. But really, really strong first inning. 1-2-3 inning. I turned to Mike Nemeth and I said, I'm going to go ahead and head down to postgame right now. And Mike said, what do you mean? I said, I'm going to go down to postgame because I know how this game is going to end. Because when Durangelo is able to navigate through the first without any trouble, we typically win the ball game. I said, Mike, we're going to win the ball game. Bottom of one, and again, Thatcher Hurd, who was not good in the regular season last year, didn't even start against State last year in the series win down in Baton Rouge. He worked some in relief and was just kind of okay. State was absolutely prepared for this. Amani Larry doubles down to the third base line. Mershawn strikes out looking. Kind of a tough weekend for Dave. And then Jordan flies out to right. So 2 are out, and they intentionally walk Hunter Hines. And people say, why would you do that with 2 outs? Well, because the Herd's splits against left-handers is not good. It's not good. Hyzak then doubles down to third baseline, and you want to see one of the reasons why Hunter Hines is going. Number one, Hunter Hines himself is locked in, and he's been hitting the ball hard. Just hadn't had a lot of elevation until here as of late. But look at the fact that it's now Connor Hyzak providing some protection rather than Bryce Chance. Nothing against Bryce, but Bryce is not the power threat that Connor Hyzak is. Connor Hyzak is one of the hottest hitters on the team, but nobody talks about it. So Hyzak doubles down the third base line. I think I called him Hunter Hyzak. My apologies. And the run scores. And another run scores. So it's 2-0 State. And then Aaron Downs rips one down the line, just inside the bag and away from Tommy White. Another run scores. It's 3-0 State. Now you may notice, too, after State began beating up the third base line, LSU kind of shifted Tommy White over a little bit. And some of those balls that were getting down the line in the first inning didn't so much later in the ball game. Kohler flies out to left, top of second. Durangelo gives up the bunt single against the shift. And this is where, savvy hitters can get us here, right? This guy's just trying to get on base. So we shift and he lays one down. It's an easy play. But it's no big deal. We get Travinsky to fly out. Neal flies out. And then Milam, very talented second base, and pops up to short. So we get around the leadoff single and get right back to work here. We're back in the dugout. But State gets a 2-out walk to Larry, but we don't get anything from it. Mershawn a lengthy at bat there, but Kay's looking. Top of third, Larson grounds out to third. Broswell singles to left. Bingham then flies out to center. Wide singles through the left side, and LSU thought, well, here we go. But Durangelo, true to form, gets a punch out here, swinging, of Jones, who cannot hit a breaking ball to save his life. State goes 1-2-3 in the third, top of 4. And you kind of feel like, 3 runs, probably not going to be enough to win this ball game. Turns out it wasn't. Top of 4, Pearson singles to left center. Travinsky goes down swinging. Neal goes down swinging. And Milam goes down swinging. So, again, great inning. And you just think, Durangelo is just going to cruise here. State goes 1-2-3 in the fourth. All ground outs. And then the fifth, this is when the blister issue became an issue. Larson walks. Broswell doubles to right center. Drives in Larson. It's 3-1. Bingham lines out to third, and that was an absolute seed right there. Logan Coulter with a great play. We intentionally walk White. Jones is then walked. Pearson strikes out swinging. So you think, okay, we're one pitch away from getting out of this and maintaining a 2-run lead. However, we walk Travinsky, forces in a run. We walk Neal, forces in a 1. Run out's 3-3. And then Millen pops out to short and a 2-2 count. And that was it for Durangelo, who was 95, 96 pitches at that point. This wasn't a good situation, but he had been cruising. And it's not like LSU comes in here and knocks us around the ballpark. Guys, there's 5 walks in the inning. 5 walks. And we still get out of there tied. Bottom of 5. State gets the answer right here. Long is walked. Larry flies out. A little short flare out there to the right field grass. Mershawn singles to right field. And then Dakota Jordan hits an absolute tank to center field. Gets those 3 runs right back. That is so demoralizing for a team. When you scratch and claw, and it doesn't matter if it comes by working for walks or you get a couple of hits. When you finally get even, you think, okay, now the game is settled, and you give it right back. And more to the point, State takes it right back. So just as the Duty Noble crowd is beginning to kind of settle in, saying, okay, we got the lead again, Hunter Hines is like, you know what, let's go back to back here. And he sent an absolute Ruthian blast to right field. Makes it 7-3. Hyzak then flies out to center, down singles to center, and then Kohler flies out down the left field line. 7-3. So State answers and tacks on one more to take that lead back out to 4 runs. Top of 6, we bring in Cam Schulke. Pitched 3 consecutive days. Larson doubles, and then they say it's a balk, and it was. Initially, I didn't think so until I saw the replay. He just kind of hung a spike there on the mound, on the rubber, stepping off there. So like he went to step, and his spike catches the rubber, so he has to put the foot down and then step back. That is a balk. I didn't think so initially until I saw the replay. It absolutely was a balk. Braswell strikes out swinging. Bingham strikes out swinging. And then we throw a fastball here to Tommy White. It really looked like we had him struck out before. Tank job here makes it 7-5, and then Jones flies out to right on an 0-2 count. And State did what great teams do. For the second time in this ballgame, when LSU scored, State answered in the bottom half of the inning. They bring in Christian Little, which is always a great thing for Mississippi State. Always. Chance strikes out swinging, and then Long singles to the left side. Larry strikes out swinging, so there's 2 outs, runner at first. And guys, at this point, little did you know, we were going to put 5 runs on the board. Mershon singles through the left side. And then Jordan through the right field side, and a 2-run score makes it 9-5. Jordan, of course, goes all the way around to third because of the fielding error. They intentionally walk Hunter Hines. And then Connor Hyzak is walked. Now it's a real interesting situation here, right? Base is loaded. They bring in Helmers, place of Little. And then Downs singles to third base. And this is one where Tommy White made a decent play here. However, the throw's in the dirt. He scored an infield single. And a run scores. They bring in Bronzini, who was the last pitcher of the day for LSU. Kohler singles back up the middle and 2-run score, making it a 12-5 ball game. And then Chance hits a ground ball. They force a runner at second. But now it's a 7-run lead for Mississippi State. We bring in Tyler Davis, who has really been good for State as of late. He gets Pearson singles to left. Pearson, good game on Sunday. Travinsky pops out. Neal lines out to left. And then Milam hits a ground ball, and we force a runner at second. We get to the 7th, and we start thinking here, now we're in 10-run rule territory, right? If State can get 3 here in the 7th, this game can get over. We get to the house. But instead, it's a 1-2-3 inning. Top of 8, we get about a 1-out walk to Brazel, but, really nice effort here from TD. In bottom of 8, the final half inning of play, Dakota Jordan is walked, and then Hines strikes out swinging. And then Hyzak, really, really good hustle here from him, ends up being an infield hit. Now you got runners at first and second. They challenge the call, and yes, again, LSU's challenge is incorrect. Downs and singles to the shortstop, another infield hit. Nice play here by Braswell. I give him credit. I don't know that he's really an SEC player, but there's no chance to make a play here. But again, nice play just to kind of knock it down and prevent the run from scoring. But now the bases are loaded. Cullerton strikes out swinging. And then Bryce Chance comes through again, really responding to the competition. Doubles down the left field line here. 2-run score. It's 14-5. And then Johnny's hit by the pitch to load the bases again. And then they walk Larry. Now, it'd have been fun to walk it off. I think it's more demoralizing that LSU walked in that 15th run. And State gets the mercy rule victory over LSU. It's never, ever, ever a small thing when we beat LSU in baseball. It's not. And that's the ultimate respect I can have for them is there's a lot of people out there you just don't like. But the bottom line is this. Mississippi State's better than LSU this year. Durangelo gets the win, kind of backs into it because State rallied in the bottom half of the 5th. We didn't make a change until the 6th, and so Durangelo gets the win there. He's now 4-0 on the year. Still struggling with walks a little bit. He had 11 coming in. Leads the staff in walks. Had 11 coming in and walked 5. So 16 walks on the year. We got to clear that up a little bit. 95 pitches for him. Thatcher Hurd is your losing pitcher. He's now 1-2. State hits him for 7 innings. We get 5 on Christian Little in 2/3 of an inning. Will Helmers doesn't retire a hitter, but we don't score against him. And then Bronzini, of course, allows 4 hits and 3 runs. But you look at your lineup here, it's very typical of what we had on Friday. It's production up and down the order. Amani with the hit, Mershawn with 2, Dakota Jordan with a pair, Hunter Hines with 1, Connor Hyzak with 2, Aaron Downs goes 4 for 5. How do you keep him out of the order? You can't. Logan Kohler, 1 for 5, Bryce Chance with a hit, and then Johnny Long. So every Bulldog starter with a hit. And, of course, Aaron Downs with that big 4 spot right there. But the reality of it is this lineup, we talked about the potential to be elite. Well, you showed some flashes of that on Sunday, really over the whole weekend. Really, really, really knocked LSU around. So real quick recap of the SEC weekend. A&M, previously undefeated A&M, goes to Florida and loses the series 1-2. We'll see A&M this weekend. I don't think they're the offensive team people have projected them to be. Georgia, I told you guys I thought they were fool's gold. Kentucky sweeps them. And I've always said Kentucky shouldn't be able to host the opening weekend. They've done it now 2 years in a row. And they sweep Mississippi State last year. They sweep Georgia this year. Georgia is a team that I think is going to probably have a losing record. You think about this. We talk about chasing the season. All right, you're already down 3. Right? You're already down 3. And you still got to play Tennessee. You still got to play Florida. Not to mention the rest of the SEC. You got 9 more weekends to go. But you never want to start out 0 for 3, and they did. Tennessee Volunteers goes to Alabama, and Alabama wins the series. And all season long, I've told you, I don't know that I believe in Alabama. This is a very, very loud statement for them. It truly is. Auburn goes to Vanderbilt. I've told you before, I didn't think Auburn was great. I thought they were a little bit overrated. They go to Vanderbilt, and they get smacked around pretty good. They get swept. Of course, LSU loses 2 out of 3 to Mississippi State. Missouri gets swept by Arkansas. South Carolina goes to Oxford and takes 1. So the home teams win every series this weekend. We always talk about how difficult it is in the Southeastern Conference to play on the road in anything. And in baseball, it's very, very difficult to go on the road and get a sweep. You're just kind of hoping to avoid getting swept and get a game there. But when you start thinking about Mississippi State's standing, we think, 14, it has been an absolute rarity that an SEC team with 14 conference wins didn't make an NCAA tournament. The numbers absolutely work in your favor when you get 14. We were hoping to get 1 from LSU. We got 2, so you're probably a game ahead of your projection. But now you start thinking, okay, we've got 2. We got to find 12. You got 9 weekends left to get 12. One of those weekends, Missouri's coming in. Another weekend, we're going to Ole Miss. But you start working the numbers here, and you start thinking about, okay, hey, well, what if we can finish ahead of that? My hope was, I was like, at the very least, we got to be 3-6 after these first 3 weekends, at the least. Well, now you've got 2 of those. Now you have a realistic opportunity. Let's say you split these next 6 games. Now you've got a 5-4 record. So you'd be 2 games ahead of what many people projected. And then at that point, you need to find 9 more wins in 6 weekends. Or 7 weekends. And that's how important this weekend was. You had to avoid getting swept, and then not only did you do that, you win the series. Now you're going to head down to College Station, Texas, against a team that I think is really fool's gold. They got a couple guys that can really swing it, and we'll preview that on Wednesday's show. But Mississippi State acquitted themselves very, very well. But it's not just the fact that we won, it's how we won and how we played, even in the loss on Saturday. It's extremely important to understand. That's why there's so much exuberance right now about Mississippi State baseball. Let you guys know, too, before we move on, there's a good chance that Tuesday's game is going to be moved to 4 o'clock. Cold weather coming back in tomorrow night. And we got travel on Wednesday, so it kind of makes sense for us to move the game up. Also got hit up here by a friend that said, hey, would you appreciate your thoughts on the Cup injury, opening up a shot for both Downs and Chance, both in the lineup this weekend? It gives you options, right? We talked about how important it was. You got that triangle of guys, Mershawn, Larry, and Cup. And Cup, of course, gets beamed in the head and then jams a knee there. And, he sits. But he'll be back, right? He makes us a better defensive team. But I could see a scenario, hey, where, you know what, hey, if we're rolling good, maybe you give him a little time. You don't have to rush it, right? He jammed that knee rather than kind of putting back out there. He could barely run on it after he did. it's probably a good thing to just kind of wait it out. But we don't lose anything offensively. I think taking Dylan out of lineup for a short. Today's podcast is brought to you by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. What's the best way to help you and your finances thrive? The answer can be overwhelming with all the financial misinformation out there. Fortunately, you can turn to NerdWallet's objective finance journalists to set things straight and help you make smart decisions with your own money. The nerds have helped me get smarter about things like planning for my tax bill so I don't dread April every single year, managing finances with a partner without causing a breakup, putting away more money for retirement since I'm not going to do this podcast forever. Sorry, folks. And also boosting my credit score since good credit is like a real-life cheat code. Saving for an emergency fund because life is like a good movie. It loves a good plot twist. The nerds also explain the real impact that the latest financial headlines could have on your life. Weekly financial check-ins with Smart Money help you spend more time doing what matters and less time worrying about what doesn't. Let NerdWallet's trusted experts untangle today's web of financial misinformation. Listen to the NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast on your favorite podcast app. Future you will thank you. Bulldog fans, many of us grew up in a time we didn't lock our doors. We didn't feel the need to. We didn't have a need to. But the world is a much different place today than it was when we were much younger. Surely you've seen your neighbors have these video doorbells and things of that nature. You can have the same peace of mind, but also the convenience that you grew up with our friends at Eufy. That's EUFY. Very, 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 very simple product here. Very easy to install. And you set it up with just a Phillips screwdriver. No drilling required, no power tools, anything like that. You get the keyless entry. You don't have to fumble around with the keys when you got your hands full. You never have to worry about your kids losing their keys. Or perhaps you've got a rental property and you worry about people passing that key around. You also don't have the anxiety of having this battery that goes down on you. Guys, you got 4 months of power here, and you get a low battery notification before it runs out so you can charge it back up. It's pretty simple. There's no monthly fee, unlike a lot of other brands that charge you that fee. You can have your recordings locally and never have to pay for storage. Eufy is also on standby for you 24/7, and you can get a worry-free experience with an 18-month warranty, all backed by our professional customer service team. Contact them anytime by telephone, email, or even live chat, which is awfully convenient. And here's the thing. There's just so much out there in the world these days. Wouldn't it be nice to know maybe who visited your door when you're out, or perhaps have the security of knowing that you've got video surveillance if anytime somebody comes to your door? Well, you absolutely can. Make sure that you look for Eufy Video Lock. That's visit EUFYofficial.com/video lock to see how you can gain complete control of your door. Bulldog fans, rodeo season is here. That's right, the Dixie National Rodeo. Get ready to roll, man. And I remember being a kid, that was like the biggest highlight for us. My grandmother would get us tickets every year, and me and my brother would wear our cowboy outfits. We'd put our boots on, have our chaps, our vest, and we'd go up there, and just in case one of the cowboys got a little bit scared to get on a horse or a bull, we were willing to do it. Yeah, for sure. Guys, boots aren't just for going out to a country western bar and doing a little boot scooting. Maybe you got a little Texas two-step in your game. Tecovas can make you look better than ever. Absolutely. And here's the deal, too. That's the thing, the versatility of Tecovas is you can wear them somewhere nice, or you can live life where you don't go gently. That's what Tecovas does for you. Yeah, it's a rugged, handsome boot. It's my favorite boot brand, and it should be yours too. Be sure and check them out. Tecovas believes in Western for all people, and you can feel that when you go into their stores. When you walk in, you'll be greeted like family, offered a boot shine and a drink, and maybe even an adult beverage if you prefer, and you can get custom fitted for a new pair of Tecovas boots. You can get custom leather stamping or branding, whatever you need to make it feel somewhat individual. Look up your closest store at tecovas.com. But if you can't make it to a store, Tecovas delivers the most premium quality and most comfortable Western goods right to your door. Visit tecovas.com. That's TECOVAS.com. And you know what, partner? Point your toes west. Time enables us to put another bat in there. Not that Dylan's been swinging poorly as of late, but I think it gives you the ability to have both Chance and Downs in the lineup. Yeah, because somebody can serve as a DH and Amani can play second, Marshawn can play short. Now, there were a couple plays yesterday where Marshawn's height kind of hurt us. Cup makes those plays. He's a bigger, longer guy. A couple balls that just eluded the grasp of David Marshawn. Dylan Cup will make those plays. But it's good to have options. It's good to have depth. I mean, guys, let's just be kind of say it for what it is. You probably got 12 or 13 guys who deserve to start. Then you start thinking, wouldn't I want Nolan Stevens at some point to be the left-handed DH? Maybe he could be a guy that could play some in left. This is the depth we've been lacking. You got more guys that can contribute than you got spots. That's a good problem to have. It's a problem we haven't had since 2021. It's true. You remember we even had people leave the team because they couldn't play in 2021 and ultimately cost themselves an AFL championship ring. But, yeah, Dylan's fine. When I saw he wasn't in the lineup on Saturday, I thought maybe it's concussion protocol. And we found out in postgame it's the jam knee. But, yeah, he's going to be good. Amani's going to be good. Dave's going to be good. And it's just good that you've got so many team guys here that are willing to do what it takes to get it going. Right, but Aaron Downs obviously needs to be in this lineup. You got to find a way to make that happen, whether that's working as a DH or working as the left fielder. Doesn't make any difference to me, but the way his bat's rolling right now. And I said that when he came up a couple years ago. The ball just sounds different coming off his bat. So that's your baseball recap, and we look ahead to Memphis. Give you a quick look at Memphis. They're 11-11. And I don't know what our pitching plans are going to be. I suspect it'll be a right-hander. I mean, we got to find a way to get some of these younger guys some innings too. So hopefully we can get some separation in the ball game. Guys like K.K. Clark, Logan Forsythe, those guys have got to come out and get some innings. And especially on a short week like this. Matt Reiser, of course, now the new coach up there. But 11-11, they have won a one-game winning streak, if you can call it that, or 8-6 at home, 3-5 away from their park. Real quickly, they lose the opening series of the year against Jacksonville State. All those games are competitive. 2 of them win extra innings. They get beat in Little Rock 10-4, and they beat Central Arkansas. There were a lot of people talking about how great Central Arkansas was because of the games that they gave LSU early in the year. Well, Memphis 10-run rolls them 14-4. Perhaps the Bears aren't what the LSU media wanted us to believe. The next weekend series, Memphis takes 2 out of 3 against Bowling Green. A series played in Memphis. They split a midweek pair with UT Martin, and then they have Wright State come in and they take 2 out of 3 from them. They lose to Ole Miss earlier this month in a Wednesday game, 5-3 in Oxford. And then they're in the inaugural Grind City Classic in Memphis. That's a good thing, right? Have some fun with it, guys. Yeah, Memphis lost all 3 games. They lose to Butler, they lose to Presbyterian, and they lose to Jackson State. Remember we played Jackson State, and everybody liked Jackson State was a joke? North Alabama, they get those guys in 7 innings, 16-2, and then Arkansas State, 13-7. Over the weekend, they played the Privateers of UNO, a team that we know well from last week, and Memphis takes that series 2 out of 3. They win 5-4, lose 6-1, and then win 12-10. So you see a lot of competitive ball games here. And so even though the record's 11-11, this Memphis team, not one that we can take lightly. We're going to have to go out there and swing the bats for sure. And again, that game may be at 4 o'clock. Just letting you know now, may be at 4 o'clock. It's currently scheduled for 6. I think it's going to move up to 4. I know for those of you that make the quick trip up here, that's a bit of an inconvenience. And for a lot of people that just want to get off work, go home, have a couple beers, and watch Bulldogs play. Game's going to be in progress when that happens, unless you take off early, and I can't imagine you doing that for Tuesday game against Memphis. But reminder, short work week, so we'll probably go early tomorrow and then turn around and fly out Wednesday. We got a lot going on for sure. And so, but that's where we are. That's your Bulldog baseball update. All right, time for today's top 10 list is always brought to you by closewithblair.com. That's C-L-O-S-E with Blair, B-L-A-I-R.com. Blair Chandler is a mortgage professional. Blair is my friend, your friend, our collective friend in the mortgage industry. If you're looking for a mortgage, and chances are if you're not, you will be at some point, whether you're looking to buy a game day condo, that's always a good idea. If you can afford it, maybe your future retirement home. Say, you know what, Steve, we're going to get game day condo, and then when the retirement comes, we're just going to sell the house and move to Stark Vegas. How about that? Be great. Or maybe you're looking to buy a home for the first time, and maybe the process can be a bit overwhelming because you want it so bad, you just don't know how to go about it. Put your trust into the 23 years of experience that Blair Chandler has. Give them a call or text today at 601-500-2344, 601-500-2344. And check out everything at closewithblair.com. This is a guy to be your advocate with underwriting. He can get you pre-qualified. That's always the smart move. Get pre-qualified so you're not wasting your time or your real estate agent's time looking at homes perhaps beyond your means. Blair can take care of that. Absolutely the best way to go, closewithblair.com. All right, I decided today we'd do top 10 songs about mercy just for no reason at all. Just completely random, you know. No, seriously, we 10-run ruled LSU yesterday. The mercy rule was enacted. So we're going to celebrate that with top 10 songs about mercy. A lot of mercy in here. Number 10 on our list is Mercy from One Republic. They are a very solid band. They don't really have an edge to them, but there's a lot of layers in their music, their composition. I really like that band. I do. It's one of the pop bands that I could probably get behind a little bit. Good traveling music, too. Number 9, a collaboration. We got a little rap on the show today. It's Mercy from Kanye, or Ye, whatever he's calling himself these days. But that's an interesting one as well. Number 8, it's Mercy from Louis Capaldi. You may know him from I Was Getting Used to Being Someone You Loved. The guy's a very talented guy. Great song here from him. Number 7, from Muse. We hadn't done Muse in a while either. They did a track called Mercy as well. Another one of those very Muse-esque type deals where their composition is all over the place. Be sure and check that one out. And number 6, this is one that was a new one for me. And maybe I'm late to the party. But there's a song called Mercy from a guy named Brett Young. Now, if you're a country person or an Americana person or you just like a little more easy listening, this is an incredible song. Absolutely incredible. And it's about a guy, he's in a relationship, and he's like, yeah, if you're going to hurt me, then show mercy. You know, it is so beautiful. Really like it. Wanted to share it with you guys today as I did my research. Not a lot of songs out there about mercy. This is one of the best ones. And again, a guy named Brett Young. And again, he was an unknown to me. Maybe you guys know him well. If you don't, he's worth checking out. All right, number 5, we got to bring some rock. One of my favorite bands of all time. You know, I named my oldest son Ani Robertson, who is my guest host for the Dude Effect that will air this week on Wednesday in advance of our series Thursday. Named him after the lead singer of this band, a guy named Ani Logan. Matter of fact, Ani's name is Ani Logan Robertson. So if you've read When the Bottom Falls, you kind of understand my connection to this band and to their music. Off that debut album, Wicked Sensation, which is an album that absolutely stands up to this day. I listen to it in its entirety. It's one of those albums when I put it on, I just kind of let it roll because all the deeper tracks are great too. This is one of them. From Lynch Mob's Wicked Sensation album, it's Sweet Sister Mercy. Ani's vocal on this, amazing. All right, number 4, and this is a bit of a throwback vibe. I guess this song's been out about 15 years. There were a lot of people, you know this song, you maybe don't know who sings it. But when Duffy dropped this track, a lot of people said, hey, she sounds a lot like this person or that person, kind of in the vein of Aretha Franklin, right? There's just a lot of soul in her voice. Amy Winehouse, actually, I don't remember if she did a cover of this or just a live version of it, but it's Mercy from Duffy, and it's just a great one. And it's a song a little bit about, I don't know, kind of a casual relationship. It's great. Number 3, another pop singer that's had some notoriety here as of late. It's Shawn Mendes with Mercy. Like that one too. That's probably a song that you've heard a million times. Number 2, this is a bit of a cover, and it was originally recorded by Don Covey back in 1963, and the Rolling Stones covered it. The Stones did a lot of covers early on. I love their version of it. I love the Keith Richards raw vibe on this. It's Mercy, Mercy from the Rolling Stones. That's your number 2 song about mercy. And yes, I know my policy on covers, but because of the fact that, yes, it is a cover, the original was not very widely known. The Stones made it big. But number 1, and how could you ever go in any other direction here? It's Mercy, Mercy Me from Marvin Gaye. A classic song. Absolutely. Everybody's heard it a million times. Robert Palmer actually did a bit of a, I don't know, maybe a refrain in one of his songs. Not a true cover, but kind of worked this in. But it's one of those songs that you've heard a million times, and it never gets old. It has stood the test of time. That's your number 1 track about mercy, in honor of the mercy ruling of LSU yesterday. Again, how good does it feel to win? And win big. It was so much fun the second half of that ball game. We just kind of relaxed and wonder what the final score was going to be, and then you start kicking around the possibilities. Hey, we made 10-run rule these guys. Yeah, that's right. That's right, Thatcher Hurd. Don't get it twisted. Those Caps still say M over S. Don't you or any of your teammates ever forget that. Not ever. 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 If you have ideas for the top 10 list, reach out and let us know. We'll be glad to do them. Best way to do that is to get them to Roy Samonte, my friend, out of Memphis, right? You can find Roy on Twitter at Dawgmatic67. That's DAWGMATIC67. Find our great list on Spotify under that same handle. You can follow me on all forms of social media at Scout Steve R. If you send them to me, I may not see them because I get a lot of notifications. But if I do see them, I will make sure we get them to Roy and get you on a list. We'll give you credit whenever you need it. Sometimes I just decide to kind of go off the reservation, do my own thing, as I did today. But I appreciate your support of the top 10 list. These many years. It's hard to believe we've been doing this for 4 years now. Almost officially 4 years because of the fact that we started shortly after the COVID epidemic canceled the SEC tournament. We all thought the world was going to end. Yeah, we became absolute prisoners to Netflix and Amazon shopping and things like that, and those masks that we wore all the time. I'm glad that we were able to endure that as a people worldwide. But again, check in with us, and we'll see if we can't get you taken care of. 4 years now, the top 10 list. Thanks so much for your support and all your wonderful ideas. We got some people that give us ideas regularly, and sometimes they're duplications. But today, something a little bit different for you. Top 10 songs about mercy. All right, next segment of the show brought to you by Campus Bookmart, a Starkvillian institution. I love Campus Bookmart. You will too, if you don't already. That's the best thing about every bit of this, man, is the fact that you need somewhere to buy Mississippi State merch. Now, you've got a lot of online options. You do. But more times than not, you're supporting some big faraway company, right? You're not helping a local business. And so what I'm going to encourage you to do is to support Campus Bookmart. They've always been there when you needed them. So I encourage you to do your online shopping through them. Go to campusbookmart.net, and you can use promo code BSR, which stands for Beautiful Steve Robertson. That gets you free shipping on all orders over $75. Any order less than 75 bones, absolutely incomplete. But when you're in town, go by and see their smiling faces. You'll be glad you did. Again, that's campusbookmart.net. All right, let's talk a little bit about the NCAA tournament that your Bulldogs are going to be part of for the second straight year. No play-in game this year for Mississippi State. Now, those games in Dayton, there will be a handful of those, as you are aware. Those will get underway Tuesday. That's tomorrow. Wagner versus Howard, Colorado State versus Virginia. You remember that? All right, Wednesday, we'll have Grambling versus Montana State and Colorado versus Boise State. And you won't have to wait long for your Bulldogs to play. They're going to be on our parent network with CBS. That's going to be Thursday, the 8 versus 9 game versus Michigan State. We're going to get going really quick there, right? So that's 12:15 p.m. I'm assuming that's Eastern, so we're going to be one of the first games of the tournament to watch. So you won't have to wait long to have something to cheer about. An 8 versus 9 game. Let's look at, if I can get this bracket to come up here. Everybody posts a bracket, and sometimes you need readers to look at them. But there's a lot of names on these lists. But no real surprise that Mississippi State got in. There was some talk about us possibly cutting in as a 10. I almost think that's the easier path. But the 8-9 game, Mississippi State versus Michigan State. North Carolina would be our second round opponent. We're out there in Charlotte in that pod. They're going to play the winner of the Howard Wagner game. North Carolina is 27-7. And I think we can get them. And so does Tom Crean. I saw that he picked Mississippi State to get to the Final Four. How cool would that be? We got to get by Michigan State first. Now, we'll preview the game on Wednesday's show in advance of the Thursday morning ball game. But very, very significant development for Chris Jans and Mississippi State. You guys know that SEC tournament was an all-out war for us. But a lot of SEC flavor in this thing. To kind of give you a couple things, I thought Auburn got hammered a little bit in this deal. I really thought Auburn probably should be seated a little bit higher. But it kind of is what it is. Texas A&M gets in 20-14. You like that. That's interesting, too. The way Texas A&M has played as of late, they get Nebraska in that first game, and if they win, they get Houston, which has been outstanding. I think A&M can compete with Houston. Wouldn't that be something? That'd be incredible. All right, looking a little bit deeper in the bracket here, the Pittsburgh pod here. You got Texas Tech and NC State. NC State, of course, kind of the surprise of the ACC tournament. And then Kentucky is the 3 seed there. I think Kentucky's kind of in a precarious position, to be honest with you. I think Kentucky has a pretty good path to get to the Sweet 16. But beyond that, it's rather interesting. It really is. Boise State, Colorado, Marquette, Western Kentucky. Whoever survives that deal in Indianapolis will probably face Kentucky. I think Kentucky in a pretty good spot here to hang a decent banner. I don't think they can win it. I do think they're a team that can make a good run in this thing. Getting a little bit deeper here, South Carolina, they get Oregon in a 6-11 matchup. That's going to be interesting. Very interesting. This South Carolina team sometimes just impresses the heck out of me, and other times I'm thinking, what's happened here? All right, Tennessee, the 2 seed is going to play St. Peter's. You remember a couple years ago, man, St. Peter's made a run at this thing and captivated the nation. They were a true Cinderella. They're going to have a tough time matching up with Tennessee's length. But I wouldn't hate it, man, if St. Peter's beat Tennessee. I think you guys probably feel the same way. I love chaos this year as long as it doesn't impact us in a negative way. For sure. But anyway. This Auburn matchup with Yale, I know Yale out-rebounded Baylor. There was the whole clip about all that stuff. You've seen that making the rounds on social media. Yale will be a very well-coached team. I just don't know if they're going to have the athletes to run with Auburn. Auburn is a very, very physical team, as we know well. But, it all gets underway. You don't have to wait long. And the first couple of days of the tournament are so fun because you see so many teams that you don't ordinarily see, right? There's only so many games you can watch in a week's time, but there's a lot of people out there playing good brands of basketball in the mid-major area. We used to call those minor conferences. That's politically incorrect these days, but I'm going to say it anyway. You have a lot of people in these minor conferences that are playing a really good brand of basketball, and they're going to upset some people. I love the upset in the tournament. You never really see, I guess Butler's maybe one of the last teams that, and even though they weren't seated as high as people would suggest, made a run to a potential championship, you just don't see it happen that often. And so you root for that just because of the fact it gives you hope. If they can do it, why can't we? But I remember years ago when Coppin State, when the year that Arizona won it with Miles Simon, that Coppin State was a fun team to watch, kind of came out of nowhere, won a couple of games. It was interesting. This time of year is very interesting. I know people say, what's the most exciting time of the year? I don't know that I agree. I think football season probably is. But all that I understood, for the next weekend, the next week, there's going to be a lot of talk about this, and rightfully so, because of the fact that you're going to have some major games that have some major implications and hopefully some major upsets. But looking quickly, again, we're going to preview the game. When you think about this Michigan State team, that Tom Izzo, of course, legendary coach for sure. I think everybody sees it for what it is, even though they've kind of fallen off a little bit. They're 7th in the Big Ten this year. Yeah, 7th in the Big Ten. And a lot of people thought Michigan State is seeded a little bit higher than it should be. There's probably some debate about that, but I don't know if Mississippi State can argue against it. State goes 21-13, 8-10 in the conference. Michigan State goes 19-14 and 10-10 in the Big Ten. And it's interesting to read the commentary about all this. Did you know Tom Izzo's been at Michigan State 29 seasons? That's crazy. 72-35 and 36 NCAA tournament appearances. The last 10 games, 5-5. Now we can look at that and say, hey, they're not great. They could look at us and kind of say the same thing. That's the reality of the whole deal. Because State is also 5-5 in their last 10 games. I just wonder if this can't be the Tolu Smith party. I think Tolu, if he plays within himself and plays strong around the rim, because there's been so many times he gets good positioning and faces and decides to dribble the basketball instead of going up with some authority. It's interesting. I mean, it just is. We need Tolu to be big, play big. State is a slight favorite in this game. And we'll break down the Michigan State schedule and everything on Wednesday's show. But when I look at this deal, I just think to myself, Mississippi State can and should win this basketball game. Now, some would argue and say, hey, Tom Izzo may be a guy with his experience, might be able to outcoach Chris Jans. I don't know that I agree, just because of the fact that Chris Jans is a younger guy, right? Izzo has done it all and seen it all. We all know this. But I think that you're going to see Chris Jans and Mississippi State do a really good job against these guys. Maybe it's just me. But interestingly enough, there was a comment by the NCAA selection committee chair about Michigan State, because a lot of people, again, Charles McClendon's got to sit up there and explain why the Spartans were in and where they were. It wasn't only the record, but it was wins against Quad 1. It was their strength of schedule and overall body of work, as we continue to say. We did take a notice of those losses, but they had some significant wins. They had some really big opportunities, and the matrix was there in order for Michigan State to be squarely into the tournament. They're not just in, they're on the 8-9 line. Very, very interesting. But a lot of people were surprised. And again, it all gets underway at Charlotte. Justin Frommer will be flying out, be a part of that, and bring you guys full coverage over at genespage.com. Majority of that content will be free. So we ask you to come be a part of that. But I'm really, really, really excited about the matchup. I do expect Mississippi State to win. And Wednesday, again, we'll kind of break down kind of what to expect and when to expect it. And we'll get ready to roll, man. I'm excited about it. I know you guys are as well. Beginning of the year, we knew that we should be in this position. We felt the women should be as well. We're going to talk about them in the next segment. But no matter what's happened down the stretch, Mississippi State is in the big dance and now controls their own destiny. Just get us in the field, right? And it's been a long time since Mississippi State has gotten out of the first week in the tournament. A long time. And you look at our recent NCAA history, it's not great. This year is our 13th appearance in the NCAA tournament. And only about half the time have we won a game. Only 6 of our 13 times have we won our first round game. Only 3 times in school history have we won our second round game and advanced to the Sweet 16. Of course, 2 of those happened in 95-96. And of course, that 96 team went on to the Final Four. And one of the shining moments in Mississippi State's athletic history. Now, we had some great years, too. We weren't allowed to go to the NCAA tournament. So it's not like, we just finally started playing basketball in 1991. But guys, in '63 is the game of change year that we snuck away. In the years prior, back in the Bailey Howell era, we were not allowed to go. And then even though we went in '63, guys, we didn't make it back until 1991. And there are a lot of people that walk around and we've got this amazing basketball tradition. And we do in some measure, but we're not on the level that I think some of our fans think we are, and we're certainly not where we should be. Does that make sense? And we can't change the past, but we can only build from that. And I think we need to keep Chris Jans here at Mississippi State. Mississippi State and Chris Jans, unless it's happened today, has not come to terms on an extension just yet. I understand that negotiations are going on. And I'm sure Chris Jans' agent is like, well, hey, let's talk after this is over with. A lot of teams out there have already announced extensions, and some of our fans have gotten a little antsy about it. Yeah, it concerns me a little bit, but I also understand we've been a little bit busy, trying to, prove our tournament worthiness, and we competed in the SEC tournament, won a couple games out there, and, Chris's mind should have been on basketball, and it was. That's why he has an agent to handle all that stuff. But we have not announced an extension because we haven't reached terms just yet. But I am firmly behind Chris Jans. I know you guys are as well. And I think we're going to have a nice banner to be able to hang. How far we go kind of depends on how things go. But I will share with you this. I don't think that State should be the least bit intimidated by Michigan State or North Carolina. And I think if we're going to make a big run like this, I think I'd rather do that than go through Princeton. You know what I'm saying? Let's get some helmet sticker wins, too. And Michigan State, a blue-blooded college basketball, you beat them, you beat North Carolina to get to the Sweet 16. It sets up really well for you. I mean, there aren't going to be any bad teams playing, but, of course, the path of least resistance to the Final Four comes on the one line. So if you're able to upset North Carolina, it sets up pretty well for you. And this is a team that I think is tournament ready. Of course, we had a very difficult stretch, but State's record on neutral floor is absolutely ridiculous. And so we look forward to that ball game on Thursday. All right, final segment of the show brought to you by the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. If you're looking to bring a big group to town, I've had some people hit me up here lately about that as well. So, hey, what's the name of that place? The Stark Vegas Clubhouse. You can just Google it, and then all of the amenities that are available to you will be available for you to peruse on their Facebook page. Incredible facility. It's renovated. It's the old clubhouse, the old country club out there, and it is an absolutely beautiful facility. 5 bedrooms, 2 bath, great fire pit area, that huge back porch, man, where you just kind of sit and chill and just enjoy the weather, maybe have an adult beverage. But again, light that fire out there. Have a good time. Plenty of room for everybody to come in, a full-service kitchen. So you can go down to the grocery store and stock for the week or the weekend, whatever you're there for. Also a wet bar there. Great TV area. You owe it to yourself, whether you're doing, family weekend, maybe you're bringing a work crew to town. That's always a nice idea, right? Oh, we got to bring a whole group to Starkville, or we got to be in the Golden Triangle working for a few days. Rather than go get 5 hotel rooms, just stay at the Stark Vegas Clubhouse. Have everybody under one roof. That way you won't have to chase everybody down. You can also save a little money, too, because of the fact you can buy groceries, cook your own meals. Maybe you want to eat out at one of our fine restaurants in town, which is always a good idea. But if you're trying to be a little bit, cost conscious, maybe this is the way to go for you. And how cool would it be, Mom, Dad? You're getting a little bit older. Let's just kind of be honest about that. It takes more and more effort to get everybody together as the children and the grandchildren get more involved with their own lives. And so how nice would it be to, hey, let's just get everybody together for a couple days. We'll stay right here 5 minutes away from the Mississippi State campus, maybe taking a ball game. But the main thing is just being together, having a place to commune together. And Grandmom can make those sweet cinnamon rolls. Man, I can taste them right now. I can smell them in the oven. Everybody can have a communal area to kind of hang and congregate. Plenty of room out there on the property for you to kind of get out and enjoy yourself. But also, too, a place that you can retreat and have your own place to just kind of rest. So a great place. Again, Stark Vegas Clubhouse. You can book through multiple options. You can book through Airbnb. You can book through VRBO. However, if you book through the Evolve website, I can save you 10%. And that's BSR10. Promo code BSR10 only through the Evolve website. If you use another one, that's your business. But if you use my code, it's not going to work for you. So with Evolve, BSR10, save 10% off your stay. All right, Sam Purcell met with the media this morning as the Mississippi State ladies prepared to play in the WBIT. Yeah, got to host Georgia Tech in Humphrey Coliseum. And Purcell says, hey, we want to play. Yeah. First ever WBIT. It's not the women's NIT. There was a lot of discussion last week. It's like, hey, we're going to turn that down. And now here we are. So still some things to cheer about, some rooting interest for everybody involved, a chance to continue to play some basketball. No, it's not the NCAA tournament. But our students, I know that you all will turn out and be a part of this. Those of you that aren't going to Charlotte, and that's the thing too. If you're here in town, you can watch the men's game in the morning and then go to Humphrey Coliseum that evening. Yeah, how cool is that? So you can double dip. And in addition to that, keep old Bulldog baseball on your phone. It's a busy time of year, for sure. Also, beginning tomorrow, Mississippi State's going to be on the spring football practice field. Now, I don't know what to expect, other than the fact that we're probably going to have some player availability. We'll get Jeff Lebby on Thursday. Not going to have any assistant coaching interviews during spring camp. When Nick Saban was the head coach at Alabama, there was one voice. It was his. And he's still using it to help us make sense of NIL, but that's a story for another day. So we're going to have a lot going on. And I want to explain to you kind of our content plan for the week. Even if you're a free reader of Gene's page or a subscriber, we're going to have football practice. I believe it's media availability Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. We're going to cover all of that. All right, Justin's going to fly out to Charlotte, so we're going to cover Michigan State and Mississippi State, and hopefully Mississippi State versus North Carolina. We're not going to go to Texas A&M, and just couldn't work it out. I'm going to be at the Winston County Library Friday. When they booked this, they thought that we were at home this weekend rather than on the road. It's my people, not the library. The library's been great. We made a mistake, and I'll ultimately take responsibility for that, but I'm going to be there. So I'm not going to Texas A&M. I wanted to go, but when I make a commitment to something like this, I have to be there. So we're going to cover A&M baseball remotely. Mike Nemeth, of course, will have the flash game, or I will have the normal play-by-play, but there will not be any post-game coverage because of the fact we're not going to be there to interview coaches and players. So they'll get a couple of days off. I mentioned to Lem yesterday, I'm not going to be there. He goes, hey, I thought we were getting tacos. Sorry, Coach. I will see Coach Simonis tonight out at Dog Talk. That starts tonight, 6 p.m. Out at Walk-Ons, if you're unfamiliar. Come out. Should be a festive environment, with the Bulldogs taking 2 out of 3 from LSU. And we'll get ahead. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about coaching plans and things like that, pitching plans for tomorrow. Again, that Memphis team, they can swing it a little bit, but they're 11-11 for a reason. Now, we can ill afford to treat this like a bullpen game. We got to go win the game. You can't go out there and take care of LSU and get ranked and then go drop this game to Memphis. So State's got to come out there and play baseball. Now, also, if we haven't discussed it on the show in detail, the cat's out of the bag now. Stone Simmons and our buddy Ross Highfield are both out for the season. Stone having surgery today, Ross surgery tomorrow. And that's it for the season. And Stone's situation, I'm not going to get into all the details, but we do expect him to have the opportunity to come back next year. It'll require a medical waiver. There's absolutely no problem getting that granted. He certainly has had his eligibility diminished by some injury. But I'm told that he is expected to make a full recovery. It's not something that's going to be shouldn't be this lingering thing, just kind of a cleanup type deal. And, of course, it's not my elbow that's being worked on, so I can speak about it very cavalier. But listen, Stone Simmons is a great guy, man. And I want Stone to be able to go out on his own terms. The guy came in one of the last links of the 2021 National Championship team. And so a lot of people were saying, hey, he's done. He can go into coaching or whatever. He's going to be your first base coach rest of this year. And I don't know if he'll be out there this week, probably recovering. But all that understood, we wish him the best. Ross Heiffel's situation's much different. Ross got banged up in the fall, and the rumors began making the rounds way back then that Ross may be out for the year. And I understand that they elected to kind of treat this with therapy, and see if he got better. He didn't respond to the treatment. They've ultimately decided to have the surgery, so we expect him back next year. They'll be careful with him in the fall. And a lot of people are like, what's the injury? Does it matter? I mean, really, does it matter? I mean, seriously, if it's an injury that's going to require a guy to miss the rest of the season, it is what it is. And so we're just going to move forward with that. Both will remain with the team and will be exuberant supporters of their teammates because that's who they are. But we wish them and their families the best. We've had this news for a while, but we sat on it. Matter of fact, when I thought I didn't think about it at the time, but I kind of dated my own stories. I wrote those stories several days ago, and I was told that we may have some news the week of the Evansville weekend, and then we didn't. And I think a lot of it was about timing, right? It's like, number one, the surgeries were scheduled for this week, so you know it's going to get out, right? As those guys begin to recover, and they may even tweet out pictures. But those that love them are going to ask for prayer and things like that. So, but I think also, too, knowing Stone Simmons and Ross Highfield the way that I do after covering them, neither of those guys want to be a distraction. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and I'm sure there's a part of both of them. It's like, I kind of hate that it got out, kind of puts a damper on the weekend a little bit. But I think this is probably the perfect time to do it. Because neither have been playing, right? It's not like all of a sudden it's a dramatic loss, even though both players were talented and expected to help us this year. When that kind of stuff happens, we're going to sit on the news, and we're going to let the players and the families or the coaches break that news. And, of course, we had stories ready trying to provide some context and all that. But that's the official word now. Chris Simonis confirming everything for us yesterday. Now, the first thing everybody says, what about Pico? Guys, Pico is available this weekend. I think there's a chance we see Pico get an inning or two against Memphis. Call that an educated guess. A lot of it's going to depend on, where we are in the game. We got to go win this ball game against Memphis. As we can't just go treat this like a practice game or a scrimmage and just kind of hope for the best. But we also can't go out there and go all in and expend a bunch of energy with our arms, knowing we have to travel Wednesday and then begin an SEC series against a team that lost last weekend, a very proud program that was undefeated and kind of got exposed a little bit by Florida. And so they do what they have to do by taking a game and avoiding a sweep, but it could have been a situation where they, could have been swept, truthfully. So they're going to be ready for us. And, last year we lost 2 out of 3 to A&M, which eliminated us from Hoover. We had a chance and just blew it. We shouldn't have been in that position in the first place. But I think we're going to have some confidence against them. We got to the point last year we just couldn't throw strikes. I mean, we all saw it. But we've had some success over the years at A&M and against A&M. And so we need to go down there and take that series. So you can't go all in to beat Memphis, but you still have to beat Memphis. Does it make sense? Got to win the game, but you can't go out there and then use a bunch of guys that you're going to rely on a weekend. Maybe Nolan Stevens gets an inning or two. Maybe Evan Sierra gets an inning. He just threw on Friday, so I don't know his recovery, right? But you may just kind of piece this thing together a couple of innings at a time. KK Clark is a guy that's obviously an option for us. Max Moore is a guy that hasn't had a chance to pitch much in games. But you've got some younger guys out there that are also very talented that you haven't seen a lot of. My hope is we can get some separation in the game and those guys can go out there and get some work. I thought KK was really good in his debut for the Bulldogs. So that's kind of where things sit right now. But I would be remiss if we didn't touch on that. Of course, Mississippi State softball loses 2 out of 3 to A&M. We're happy to get a win and avoid the sweep there. So you're 3-3 after 2 weekends. And Ole Miss even took a game from LSU. So that even helps you in the RPI a little bit because LSU undefeated before that. And so we're going to have to play well in every aspect. But there is a lot going on if you're a Mississippi State fan. Of course, the soccer team just gets back from Europe over there in London. What a great experience for them. I'd like to sit down and just kind of hear about that, right? Wouldn't you? What a great experience it had to be. But the bottom line is this, is if you're a Mississippi State fan, there is plenty involving the maroon and white to hold your interest. Now, we got 2 days left, or really less than that now. I got about, 18 hours or so. No, I guess a little more than that. You got about a day and a half left, and you can take advantage of the Gene's Page 50% off the annual subscription special. It's going to run through 11 p.m. Central, the 19th, tomorrow. Kind of ramping it up for the beginning of spring practice, March Madness. There's a lot going on, and so it's a good time for you to be subscribed at genespage.com. And I don't know if you guys paid attention yesterday. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Let me just kind of roll it down for you. You know, we could send out a bunch of tweets and we can make a bunch of message board posts. What we try to do is provide you guys with quality content. That's what we're looking to do. You know, so just yesterday, and let's count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 stories yesterday. That's on St. Patty's Day. And today's the 18th. We've already got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 stories posted now. And I still got a couple. So we're going to have double-digit stories back-to-back days. And, of course, again, full coverage of really everything this week. And we'll use every resource we have to provide that to you. If you hadn't done so, go to whenthebottomfalls.com. You can get the brand-new book, When the Bottom Falls. Of course, I'm working on The Dude. I'm going to work on some of that this week, about 5 chapters in. I wanted to write one last week. Just time just wouldn't permit with the trip down to Biloxi. But all that understood, you can get When the Bottom Falls there, but also all of my sports titles are available. That's Flim Flam, Stark Villains, Alpha Dogs, and Dogpile. Every Bulldog needs a copy of Dogpile. And it's amazing, too, that Flim Flam is just still selling. And the book's several years old now. But I'll get a report every now and again. We just sold X number of Flim Flam, and there's this and that, And maybe, some people still seek the truth. So complete your collection, because I'm going to keep stacking these books up on you. And all the URLs go to the same place. It's all one. Matter of fact, if you probably could Google Beautiful Steve Robertson, that'll bring you there too. I think we own that URL. But nevertheless, a lot going on. We're there to cover it for you. We're really tired. I can promise you that. And I need to go float, to be honest with you. I got a fresh tattoo, so I got to give it a few more days. But True Rest of Starkville, of course, doing exceptionally well. We've had some student athletes that have come. We've had some coaches that have come. Lots of locals, a lot of out-of-towners have come in for ball game weekends, just having to try it, and selling a ton of memberships. And so if you wanted to know more about floating, just go to TrueRest.com. It's true, True, rest.com. Or you can call my lovely wife at 662-268-7601, and she can get you scheduled. She can answer your questions you may have about it. There's a lot of information out there. We encourage you to follow us on social media. We're on TikTok, and we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram as True Rest Float Spa of Starkville. And it's been great. It's been open right at a month now. We thank you so much for your support. And we look forward to being a big part of this community, from now on, right? And it's so great to be able to go in there and float and just kind of get some relaxation. It's amazing to me to read the reviews from people on Facebook, because everybody goes in not knowing what to expect. And to have these people turn into clients, from clients to raving fans, is very, very special to us. So be sure and check out with all that. And no matter what you think, even if you don't have chronic pain, even if you just have stress and anxiety in your life, you could really benefit from floating. That's where it's really helped me. I'm not really a pain guy. And most of my stuff is just kind of mental, right? Just constantly being on the go, constantly having a million things to do, constantly having a million people pull after me. But when I get in there, I have that hour to myself to just kind of let the mind reset. And I can tell that I hadn't floated in a couple weeks now because of this tattoo. But I can tell. I sleep much better and much deeper when I have the opportunity to float. Good chance it can cure what ails you too, right? So come by and check it out. Even if it's just for the curiosity. I think it's everybody that I know would benefit from floating. And I don't just say that because I own the business. It's the reason I own the business, because I believe in floating. I only needed to float one time, and it was such a miraculous experience for me. I'm like, I want my friends and neighbors and family to experience this. So again, 662-268-7601. Hey, let's get out of here. We'll be back on Wednesday, and we'll preview. Hopefully, we'll wrap up the Memphis baseball win, and then we'll preview the Texas A&M baseball series, and of course, the March Madness matchup against Michigan State. And then hopefully on Friday, we're previewing a second-round game against North Carolina. We'll also talk a little bit about Georgia Tech women's basketball. So a lot to talk about. Give you a recap, too, of what we learned at football practice on Tuesday. Great time to be a member of Gene's Page. A great time to be engaged with us, as Mississippi State's spring schedule is just basically wide open right now with several sports in action. Until next time, let's all live our lives in a way we make more friends than enemies, and people can see a difference in the way we live.